excited to do this with my cousin Faith. Um,
I'm sorry.
so, yeah.
Ah,
And even Ruby
and
had something to
Ruby.
say about it. Yeah. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to my channel. I am the Black Carnivore, and you have reached a channel where we talk all about eating eating a meat-based diet and following low-carb, keto, carnivore, but a meat-based diet. So anyway, stick around because we're going to talk about a lot of interesting stuff today. Today's topic I actually thought was pretty interesting, which is, many of us, once we start to get healthy and lose weight and start to feel better, we're super excited to bring this message to everybody we know and love, which includes our family. And so often our family's not interested or they're not ready. So we thought we would do a family show. So Faith is my cousin, and
Hi.
yeah. And Faith also has her own show on Instagram. It's an Instagram Live, and it's called Acts of Faith every Sunday at 4, but you are taking a break now until December.
No,
So,
no, November 1st. November 1st.
oh,
Or
okay. All
2nd.
right.
Yeah.
Great. So 2 weeks. So,
Yeah.
yeah, she's taking a 2-week break, but then coming back right before the election. So,
Have
there you
to.
go. Yeah. But you'll have an opportunity to check out her show there. But today we're just going to dive right in on all stuff, evangelizing with your family, how to do it, when to do it, do you do it, forget about it, I don't know. All right.
I think you should. That's my vote.
Okay. All right. And hey, I see there's a bunch of you here already, so thank you so much for showing up. And can you please hit the like, subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so you can get notification every time I go live. We do lots of really cool videos here, and you just want to be in the know. So like, subscribe, and this is the way we're going to be able to keep bringing this kind of content. All right, yeah. So let's just dive right in. So let me know a little bit. Let's let the viewers know a little bit about your keto history. How did you
Ugh.
get into it, and when did the latest iteration of it start?
Well, I basically fought keto for all the years that you were doing it. Not because I didn't want to do it, but I just didn't think it was going to work for me, and it seemed really, really hard. So it's funny because over the course of our lives, our weight loss journeys have kind of always matched up. We both seem to get fed up with ourselves around the same time and start losing weight together, which has always been awesome. And then lo and behold, you go and lose like 1,000 pounds without me. Um, so of course, after you did that, I mean, I should have started listening, 15 pounds in, but I didn't. And so
And
I think it was
everyone should know, just in terms of our story, our weight always seemed to go up together and down together.
down
So this last time when I went down, it's like, hey,
what the hell? You
you
left
were
me in fat
supposed,
world.
yeah.
So yeah, I was not happy. And I was like, what's happening with the universe? Because even when we didn't talk about losing weight together or the fact that we were gaining weight, it just always seemed to happen at the same time. So I was trying to figure out why didn't my whatever kick in when yours kicked in so I could lose all this weight with you. But whatever. It's just another example of the universe disappointing me. No big deal. Um, but um, so last April, I think it was when I finally was like, okay, something's got to give. This is not working. I'm way too fat on my clothes. It really started to hit me when I couldn't fit most of my fat suits for court. So every time I go to court, I'm either wearing the same pants, the same jacket, the same shirt with some other kind of variation of it. And all of my jackets were too tight. I thought for sure one day I'm going to be in court and reach for something out of my bag, and the whole back of my jacket was just going to rip open. So I thought, maybe I should consider losing a few pounds. I don't know. And so we talked about keto like we had done 1,000 times before when I didn't listen. But this time I really wanted to do it and really listen. So, all the advice you gave me, like everything else that you've ever given me advice on, is always dead on. That's definitely a bonus to having a cousin who researches the hell out of everything. So I've literally been so spoiled because I never have to decide what camera to buy or what kind of juice to get or whatever it is that we were looking at purchasing, I knew that if you bought it, that I could buy it and not have to worry about all the research because you've already done everything that needed to be done. So when you said this is what you need to do for keto, I really appreciate how thorough you are and how you always provide all of this really detailed scientific biological information about body type and fat and the construction of your food, and all of that. But like, that all goes over my head. I just want to know, what can I eat? When should I eat it? How much can I have? And that's it. So getting that very bare bones list from you, that's what I went to the
Hmm.
market with. And I already, I kind of already was doing the no carb thing on and off. I really am not a big bread, potatoes person. When it's time to cut those things out, I never really have a problem with that. The keto problem was the sugar, the drinks, and giving up desserts. So I was really excited to learn that there's like this whole keto world where all of these amazing people have figured out all the ways to still have something sweet, to still have cake, still
Yeah.
have cookies, still have all these really great things and lose weight. So for all of last summer, from April, I think in the first month I lost like 10 pounds and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And then, when I started paying attention to all of the people, I guess, that are kind of famous for keto desserts and keto recipes, I started to really find a lot of things that I like to eat. And then I was able to get Jamel in on it because he wanted to try everything I was cooking because I was raving about how good it was. So me and Jamel both ended up being on keto. Jamel is 14. Well, he was 13 then, but totally okay with it. In fact, he probably ate more of it than I did. And on him, it just really gave him more energy, increased his stamina because he's always working out. He plays sports. So, for me, it was like I wasn't quite as tired going up and down the stairs. I didn't really implement exercise the way I should have, although I did join the gym. I
Hmm.
went to the gym every morning at 5 a.m. for like 7 days and then never again. So I got to have a year of joining the gym. I think it was like $40 a month off my credit card. I literally never went back. Uh, and it wasn't, I didn't hate exercising. I didn't like doing it at 5 a.m. And I had to leave my house at 4:30 to get there. And then I'd go and work out, come back and have to shower and start my whole day. And it was really good for like those 6 or 7 days, but that was hard to maintain. And
Yeah.
since I was losing weight without it anyway, I just was like, I'll go when I go. Um,
It's hard to
but
start like such a rigorous program. I mean, every day 5 a.m. is like really hard. So it's not surprising that that didn't work
work
out
out
long run.
didn't quite work out. I got some relief actually from Corona because they stopped charging my card for a couple months. Um, and then
Okay, say the C word.
oh, sorry. So anyway, I won't say it again. But it kind of helped me out with regards to the bill for the gym because they stopped charging for
Right.
I think like 3 or 4 months, and then my membership had gone the year, and I was able to cancel it without any huge penalties. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Spending that money that I definitely could have been using on other things,
Yeah.
but once I got into it, it was really not that hard. Once I got into it, and I was able to find substitutes for everything that I like. And my problem has always been sugar and sweets.
Hmm.
Like I could literally have gone the rest of my life never eating another piece of actual nutritious food and just eating keto substitutes for cookies and raspberry cheesecake bars and all kinds of other yummy things that really there's no substitute for that I know at this point.
Well, let's dive into that and into your sugar addiction because I think that's probably the most interesting for people. But before we do that, I wanted to go back to what you had said earlier. Some of you, or if you're new here, maybe you don't know, or not everybody knows. I did put together some introductory videos just to tell you exactly what to buy when you go to the supermarket and exactly what to eat for the first 2 weeks, or when you're just getting started started following a carnivore diet or even keto. So I would say go and watch those videos, and that'll help you just to like kind of figure out the basics, and then continue to watch to learn more and to figure out how to implement it in your lifestyle. But sugar is, one of those things, and sweet taste is one of those things that, so many of us have become so accustomed to having that, the idea of not tasting something sweet every day becomes really difficult. And, there are people in the keto world have figured out how to imitate some of our favorite sweet treats or come up with other things that are really palatable and interesting and tasty. But for some people, that just leads them off into, a direction of a binge, or it stalls weight loss, or, it creates a problem in some other way. So you have to decide whether or not that's something that works for you. And if it's something that you can incorporate, a couple of times a year rather than a couple of times a week. So that's going to be up to you. But Faith has been, figuring it out, how it works for her. So let's hear from you. Like those sweet treats. I do remember you made it was like a lemon pound cake with some kind of icing on it.
So good. So good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did try that. That was a while back. And it was using, did it use xylitol or what was it?
No, I used almond flour and monk fruit as a sweetener.
And it had right. And it had a cool flavor. It was was unusual about it. Flavor, like the sweetener. I don't know. There was a coolness or a silveriness in the mouth afterwards. It was a little different.
That didn't bother me at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the sugar part of keto, I've always loved to bake, even before keto and all that. I was baking all the lemon cheese bars and all that. I could bake for days before I'd cook like an actual meal. Preferably, I prefer to bake. So finding things that I could bake and eat and not be considered cheating on keto was pretty amazing. However, I have recently learned, to my absolute horror, that all of those things are off limits when you are sugar-free. So sugar-free takes all of the conveniences of sweets on keto off the table. And basically, you get to decide for yourself what you're going to consider to be sugar-free and not sugar-free. But to be truly sugar-free as an addict, I have to basically give up all things sugar, all things sweet. And there's like, I don't know, 50 different names for sugar. There's literally hardly anything you can pick up in the market that doesn't have some sugar in it. And at first I was like,
wait, so I want to hear that, but just to give a little bit of background. So for everyone who doesn't know, so, there are many people who think that sugar sugar and food addictions are real. And as do I. And
me too.
And I have decided that I am a sugar addict. And I went to get some treatment for it, and Faith saw the success it brought in my life, so she tried it as well, and so is now trying to live life sugar free. But once you really look around and see how ubiquitous sugar is, it really is a life-changing decision to take sugar out of your diet, because it means you have to examine everything that you're eating, because it's almost everything, if it's in a box or a bottle or a bag, sugar has been added to it. So that's what Faith is talking about now.
So also, before keto, and just like my whole life, whenever I would go on a diet or try to change my eating, I never really restricted myself from salads, which means I was having, like, I'm not going to beat myself up over salad dressing. Fruit, I ate tons of fruit. Like, I could sit and eat a cantaloupe, like, at one time, just the whole thing. And feel like, well, I didn't cheat on my diet because it was fruit. And so when I think about all the years that I was basically sabotaging my diet with all this fruit and sugar that I just didn't count as sugar, that's annoying. I wish I had that information then. But then again, I don't, because I've really had all of these really great years with sugar that now I'm not going to have anymore. But when you first told me that you gave up sugar, I was like, oh, it really must not have been that important to her because there is just no way in hell. And so when I, decided to investigate and speak to someone who handles like professional addicts, I was like, really, it's an addiction. I mean, I used to joke about it being addiction, but now I know for certain that it absolutely is. I didn't realize that you kind of treat it the same as alcoholism or drug addiction, because I've never really been an addictive person, or so I thought. But I was definitely a creature of habit, and my habits all revolved around candy and sugar and desserts. Like I would go to a restaurant and order dessert and eat it before I even thought about what I wanted to eat off the menu for food. So, every day, a box of Raisinets at night, watching television, maybe junior mints if I got started early enough. And there were, when I really realized that I had a problem was when I just would like get out of my bed at like 11 and fly to the store before they closed at 11:30 so that I could get whatever I was craving, sugar wise. So yes, I had a problem, and I used to drink. I'm not really a soda person, never been into soda, but like tons of juice, cartons, lemonade, sweet tea, all of those things. They were like my friend, sort of. So when I called and I spoke to this professional about how to kick sugar, she was like, "Yeah, you're not ready." And I'm like, "No, really, I am." And she's like, "No, I don't think you are." Because one of the things I asked her was like, how long do I get to keep eating it before I have to give it up? Or is it okay if I have these keto desserts for a while,
Yeah.
instead of the real thing? Can I get the fake version? And so,
Mhm.
even after meeting with her, I was like, yeah, this is not something I'm going to be able to do, because I couldn't stop thinking about all the things that I was not going to be able to have anymore. And then thinking, I'll just go eat all of those things in the next week. I probably would have passed out, um, in the next week, so that I can be sugar free like the next week.
Mhm.
And obviously, those weeks turned into months, and it took, actually growth in a whole nother area of my life to understand that I could control the sugar issue, and this whole idea of this voice being in the back of your head telling you that you need something that you don't really need. And that's basically where I ended up being with sugar. And so once I decided that I was done with it and I was not going to let anything have more control over me than I had over myself, it is actually really easy to do the no sugar, sugar free thing.
Mhm.
But for the first 2 weeks, I was like, wow, I should have done this a long time ago. But after the second week, I was like, I am freaking thirsty and I am tired of drinking water. And adding a little bit of lemon to the water is just not cutting it anymore. And so it's been really hard. Like, that's been the hardest part. And in understanding that I'm like never going to be able to drink the things that I love, like, never is a long time. And so that was very hard. It's still a challenge every day because I really miss just drinks, even
Yeah.
coffee, because I can't seem to get it down black.
Yeah.
Or even with cream, if it's not like French vanilla, then what's the point? So, um, I miss those are the things that I really miss now. I'm good with the food. I do get irritated sometimes when I pick up something that just inexplicably has sugar in it, like vinegar. Like, why in the hell would vinegar have sugar in it? So I can't even make the most disgusting bland salad dressing because it has like 2 grams of sugar in it. And where is it? I start to kind of justify, if I can't taste it, if it doesn't taste sweet, then it's okay, even if it has sugar in it. And so I haven't caved on any of those yet, but they are constant challenges for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, so, and I think that this is an important point when you're dealing with somebody, and you're working with someone on these kinds of issues, is to continue to go
Mhm.
back for support. I mean, they, they expect and know that you are going to need to get continued support, because this is not something that's super easy. But when
Mm-mm.
you're coming off an addiction, I mean, working with someone is meant to get you to the point where you're not white knuckling it. This is not about willpower, and partly, um, you can't do that. You can't do it that way because addiction is really comes from the old part of your brain, not your frontal cortex, where you are making decisions and making rational, thinking rationally or not. It's you really have to, there's a more fundamental change that needs to go on, and in fact, you really need to have a community around you that is reminding you and supporting you in your decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, my community in this house, first of all, they're in shock that I haven't stopped at the dollar store like 3 times a week to go get my candy refills, the dollar candy. So once it was like, I told you I'm sugar free. I told you I'm sugar free. I told you I'm not doing that anymore. Then it becomes, if I get upset about something like, is that what sugar free is going to be like? You're going to be screaming at us about nothing for like the rest of our lives. Maybe, I don't know, but it's hard because, my Jamel's 14. Whenever he has friends over, they basically just go to the market and load up on just the most amazing snacks that I can't eat anymore. So the house is full of things that would be a quick fix for me in the middle of a craving any other time. So
Hmm.
double stuffed Oreos and Doritos and all kinds of drinks and sodas and just everything that would normally placate me that I can't have anymore is literally in my kitchen. So I'm really proud of the way that I walk past those things every day. And they aren't really the struggle that I thought they would be, but my biggest thing is really just not having anything to drink.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I didn't like water before. I was not a big water drinker, and I'm ashamed to say I could go weeks without drinking a glass of water. So now that I'm drinking, gallons of it, I probably do maybe a half a gallon of water a day now, maybe a little less. But it's because I'm really trying to tell myself that this is all I need is this water, and I don't need the tea or the lemonade or the coffee or anything else that actually tastes good because the water with the lemon, it's just not cutting it anymore. It's just not. And I
Yeah.
really, I know that I'm not supposed to be white knuckling it. It's not supposed to be about willpower. And I do try to fight the voice that says I need all those other things. It's, I'm nervous that I'm not going to be able to make it through one of these times.
Well,
So
so those of you in the chat, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. But also write in the chat what drinks do you drink? What do you rely on as you go on your keto or carnivore journey? And those of you just watching, go ahead and write that in the chat because I really am curious. I know
me
for
too.
my yeah, I know for myself. I used to love juice and lemonade and all of that stuff, a ton when,
Lemons,
yeah,
especially.
yeah. And, I feel like there was a place that we used to go to in LA where we'd get these like raspberry lemonade, but super, super sweet, almost like,
Oh, it's corn dog. It was corn dog. The cherry
yeah,
lemonade's a corn
yeah,
dog.
yes, yes. Cherry limeade. And it was
Cherry, yeah,
like, yeah, it was so sweet. It was like the
heaven.
concentrate that you add water to make whatever the drink is. Yeah, those were good. I didn't even like the corn dogs, just the drink.
No, just the
Um,
drink. And the lines were
yeah,
so long. Remember we used to
yeah,
stand in those long ass lines for that lemonade with and
yeah,
no ice.
yeah,
Like it's just literally a whole
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We've
Yeah.
got lots of these food stories.
Yeah.
But as far as the
Remember I used to
drinks,
make marshmallow peeps for you?
uh, yeah,
I can't believe the stuff
those,
we used to eat. Like
yeah,
marshmallow peeps. The
yeah,
recipe actually called for corn syrup.
yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Well,
Yeah.
that recipe was so sweet that even I could only get through like a half a marshmallow at a time. Like it was just too
So
much.
good.
But as for the drinks, I know for me, I kind of decided the first time that I decided to really kind of buckle down and lose some weight. This was before keto or carnivore. Um, are you doing something? Because I can hear it. Are you
No,
moving
but I
your
hear that
hands?
static too.
Oh, you.
I hear
Oh,
it too.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know what that
It's like a
is.
little crackle or something.
Yeah.
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 I'm not doing anything.
Okay. Um, So I don't know what it is. Unless my dog is back there doing something.
I thought maybe it was dying. I thought it was just me. I didn't think you could hear it.
No, I can hear it too. Okay, so well, anyway, so when I decided to really, focus on losing weight, I decided that I was, cutting calories just that's what we were supposed to do. And so I just decided to cut out drinks altogether. I mean, I figured, if I'm cutting calories, like an easy place for me to cut a couple of hundred calories is something, things that I'm drinking. And I just decided I was never gonna spend, calories on drinks anymore. Yeah. I don't know what that is. Let me see. Um, Pandemic Carnivore says it might be my earrings. I don't know, but let's take them out anyway. I swear to God, like the
Mine was
state
only
of the
staticky
world.
on one ear. I
Oh,
don't hear it
really?
anymore. I just took out my ear pod, the one. I have the other one in.
Oh, well, it could be the one
So
was going.
I don't
Um,
know.
but I feel like with the state of the world, like I can no longer wear earrings because there's masks and hoops and just
Mm.
earbuds and just too much going on in the ear area. So in the house, it's kind of the only time I get to wear them. But anyway, but to get back to it, so I was cutting calories, and I just decided drinks was a great place to cut calories. And even after, whenever I started to, eat regular again and go off the diet, I never really reincorporated drinks. It was just like, gone, and
Mm.
that worked really well. So I do get how hard it is, but I feel like it's not a place that um, like you can really justify a whole lot of calories. Now,
It's
you're
definitely
talking
not worth
about
it.
sweet
I
stuff, like
mean,
artificial
yeah.
sweeteners. It's not worth it, you're saying.
No, I mean, I I don't know of any artificial sweeteners that I'm like allowed to have. So, um, and honestly, I've never been a big fan of artificial sweetener. They always
Mhm.
kind of have this weird aftertaste to me, and
Yeah.
so I've always hated like Sweet and Low and Equal and those kind of things. Just they don't taste good to me. They're not sugar. And so when I found like Lacanta and the what is it, sweet something like I forget the name of the other one, but it's like Sweetser or something like that. Those to me taste like regular sugar, as close to regular sugar as you can get, especially the Lacanta, because it was almost sweeter than sugar. It was like concentrated sugar. I could use like a
Yeah.
half a teaspoon of Lacanta where I would normally use like two teaspoons of regular sugar.
Hmm.
So I really felt like I was doing something beneficial by using those things. They're super expensive. I think like $8 a pound for Lakanto or $9 a pound or something like that. So I used it. I used less of it, and most of it really for baking. And now that I can't use it, I have tons of it in the house that I can't use. I'll probably just end up, using it for Jamel for something at some point or whatever. But you know, I don't know. I really miss like using coconut flour or almond flour. I feel like some of these things really shouldn't be off limits. Um, but they are, I mean, at the end of the day, if I start, I feel like these are like gateway drugs to sugar. Like
Yeah.
if I start letting them in, then eventually I'm going to be right back where I was and justifying all kinds of horrible things for myself. And, I do realize that,
Well, just to jump
how,
in, I want to hear about that. So hold that thought. But just
mhm.
to point out for everyone who's watching, flours are a problem in and of themselves because they are so ground up and so concentrated that like when you consume them, like there's a lot more surface area to, touch your insides, and so you're absorbing way more faster. So the
Mhm.
act of turning anything into a flour, whether you're going from cocoa leaves to cocaine or a wheat berry to whole wheat flour, you're still having the same effect. You're increasing the contact with the substance and its intensity.
So this information right here that you just gave us, I mean, like that information just really goes over my head most of the time. But
Mhm.
just starting to really understand what you're talking about. Normally, I just listen, and if you say it's worse for you than this, it's worse for I just listen and I just stop eating it. But it's nice to be able to understand it. I like that you can like dumb it down for me, because I need everything dumbed down,
No, you don't.
especially after a
You're
full
a very
day of
talented
working.
lawyer. You don't need
No,
anything done now.
seriously, it is the way that you explain things are just make it so much easier for me.
Mhm.
to understand why I should like, okay, but why can't I have this? What's wrong with, what's wrong with coconut flour? What's wrong? And just the idea that because it's all ground up, it touches so much more of your body. Like, I don't think about all that. And I don't think anyone does. Like, this is where your expertise and the value of your research integrity really comes in handy, because that's not something I would have ever come across or even come to understand on my own, even if I read it somewhere, which I may have, and just,
Mhm.
again, in one ear, out the other. But like, you just always have a way of making me feel like I'm not as dumb as I actually am, because you figure out a way to explain it so it's easy to understand. And so, it helps me to walk away
And
from
I
things
didn't
that,
even pay her for that. So you could come to me
no,
for coaching, but I did not pay her for that little
no,
ad.
absolutely. It's true with everything that you do. And it's always been true. I mean, all of your degrees and all of your languages are so intimidating, but you never really make me feel like a complete idiot, which I know I am around you. It's just it is what it is. So,
And I've also
um,
never talked about my degrees or any languages that I speak on this channel. So now you're learning
oh,
something new.
sorry. Well,
Yes.
welcome to my world. That cousin that you have in the family that literally excels at everything? Meet A-Day Fox. Anyway,
And also
uh,
my brother, remember the
and your
one
brother, yes, the actual physicist slash
who
rocket
studied
scientist.
what did he study? Cold fusion?
I
He's got
mean,
a
it's
PhD.
like Big Bang. Like, I don't even know. Like, your dad and that whole branch of the tree just sucked up all of the intelligence from the family. That, I guess if you have a dad that goes to college at the age of 15 and then takes the law board, the bar exam, which I have a complete fascination about, taking the bar exam, having never gone to law school and passing with one of the highest scores ever recorded. It's disgusting, really. But anyway, I digress. At the end of the day, I like the way that you're able to explain things to normal people who are not in your family, your branch of the family, because the rest of the foxes, and we're just normal. Um, but it really changes the way I look at everything. So, the fact that you're coaching now is, I mean, amazing. I feel like I should pay you for all the years you've already been coaching me through all of this stuff. Um, and it makes everything easier when you kind of have an understanding of what it's actually doing. And I do feel lucky that I've not had any health issues at this age. The way that I've been eating, I mean, literally, I've gone days without food and just eaten candy and chips and drank juice. The fact that, I used to come home, and this is post March, let's say 2020. Coming home at the end of a day, because I never really stopped going to work. I used to literally make, I don't even know what to call it. It's like, the pre-made uh, margarita mix with the alcohol already in it. And I'd pour it into like a huge cup of pineapple sherbet and make like these amazing sherbet margaritas like every single day. So good. I mean, I would never do that again, but they were really good. But knowing how bad they are now, and just like the fact that I'm not in my 20s eating like that, I should be like 600 pounds. You know, when I learned about fasting, I mean, fasting was like, whoa. The only reason I'm not 600 pounds is because I have been inadvertently, intermittently fasting for years and didn't realize that that's what I was doing. Only because I just got busy at work and never ate. So, I'd get up in the morning, maybe have coffee. Most times I didn't. I'm not really a huge coffee person. And then I'd go the whole day without eating, come home at 4 or 5 o'clock, eat a bunch of candy, no food, and then go to bed. So, thankfully, the intermittent fasting thing by accident worked out for me, because otherwise I definitely would have needed to lose probably closer to 150 pounds instead of only 50 or 60 pounds.
Yeah.
Um, so, learning that was like a huge aha moment. Like, oh my God, that's terrifying. What I could have been, if I hadn't been accidentally doing this.
Yeah, I
But
was always surprised that, I mean, you should be a whole lot heavier
a
than
lot.
you are given what
Yeah,
you eat.
I should. It's
Uh,
true, but not anymore. And now I'm like, I've stopped eating all this really horrible stuff. Why am I not a rail? I should be skinny now. Definitely not skinny. Definitely still not working out though. I probably could help myself out by at least doing some stretching or something in the morning. I keep saying I wake up just naturally at like quarter to 6, 6 o'clock, and I literally lay there and look at emails and play Scrabble and do all kinds of other stupid things for like 2 hours till my phone needs a charge. Instead of getting up and doing 15 minutes of abs or some kind of cardio, and mostly because I'm also a slave to my hair as a Black woman, I get stuck in the fact that I don't have, again, the 8A gene in the Fox family tree of the naturally curly hair. So, yeah, I
So
can't do that either.
no, but hair is real, and that is absolutely a real reason to, think about what kind of exercise you're going to do. So
Well, you can't sweat at all. I
right.
mean,
So
any amount of sweating.
even when curly, like sweating, it's a problem. It's an issue. So
Not like mine.
what I found that I like to do was weightlifting. So I would get sweaty, but not the same kind of like, sweaty like when you're like on the cardio machine. It's not that kind of sweaty. And weights can really transform your body in a way that you can't do any other way. Like it won't happen with cardio and it won't happen with
Mhm.
just losing weight. So that would be my recommendation. But let me just pop into the chat because I do see some interesting things. I see
Mhm.
Miss Tady was, this is back about the water talk, was saying that with her keto drops, she can really taste whatever minerals are in it and she doesn't like it. And so um, I was going to say that, with the keto drops, they have electrolyte drops and fasting drops. And the electrolyte drops or are more minerally tasting, like there's more magnesium, and you can really taste that. The fasting drops are have much higher amounts of sodium, and I think actually taste more pleasant. So you might find that that's a difference. But something else that I did, Miss TD, was I ordered a new product called Fasting Salts, and I put it in my Amazon store. So if you want to go to the electrolyte section there, you can check that. But it's a proper balance of sodium, potassium, and magnesium, and it's designed for people who are like doing extended day fasting, so you get your whole requirements for a full day in, the dosage that they recommend, which, it can be up there in terms of the milligrams. But I think that the ratios really work for me. So I have been using it the last couple of days, and it has been way better for me than the fasting drops with Keto Chow. So I think, you're going to have to play around with the different products just to figure out, the right mix for the minerals.
Okay,
Um,
so this is another one of those times when you're talking about stuff that like I don't know what these drops are. Did they make the water taste better?
it's about getting your electrolytes. It's
Yeah.
not
See, like
about
all of the
taste.
science part of keto is like I just do what you tell me to do. So if you tell me go get drops, I went and got these keto strips. I literally forget to use them every day. And they expire apparently because I've had them so long. It's been over a year. I think they're going to expire in like a month, and I've probably used maybe 15 of them. Um, but like, I don't know, maybe I should get some of that because there are definitely days since I started the sugar-free thing that I haven't eaten, because I get home and it's like I don't feel like cooking. It's 6:30, 7 o'clock. I figure I'm going to lay down and watch TV for an hour, or the TV's going to watch me for an hour, and then I'm going to be asleep for the rest of the night. So I've gone, Sunday night to Wednesday afternoon before I have time to eat.
Mhm.
And I don't do anything besides drink water on those days, um, which for some reason doesn't bother me, not eating for a couple days, but it's never intentional. Whenever I say I'm going to fast for this week, I'm just going to not eat from Monday through Friday and eat on Friday, or Monday through Thursday and then eat on Friday. Whenever I make that decision, it's harder to get through the week. But when it just happens, if it's Wednesday and I haven't eaten and I'm not really hungry, I'll just kind of push through till Friday. But it's not really I don't know, it's not that hard when it's accidental. It's when I decide that I'm going to do it that it becomes a
Yeah.
whole challenge. I guess it's a mental block or
That's a
something.
common thing that I've heard people say. I mean, it just
Mm.
is. And when you start talking about it and making a decision about what you're going to do, you're focusing on it.
Hmm.
And then when you focus on it, it's harder.
It's
So,
just crap.
yeah. Now,
It's not fair.
I see some interesting things in the chat. Nilala says sometimes the self-talk doesn't work, and I think she's talking about drinking just water, plain water. So there's people with
So
you.
I should stop talking about. Oh, wait.
No,
So
no,
stop
no,
talking about
no,
what?
no, no. She's struggling with the same, just like
Oh,
you,
good. So
and
I'm not
she's
alone.
using the self-talk to get herself to drink it, but
Ugh.
yeah. Um, and I see Pandemic Carnivore has asked, who in my family do I most want to go carnivore? So I think that
Oh,
would
I
be
know who I have.
Faith's, yeah, Faith's son, Tucker.
Yeah.
So he has eczema and just a lot of autoimmune stuff and would be a prime
Yeah.
candidate. Why don't you tell us what
But
happened when he did it?
so so not just okay, so saying that Tucker has chronic asthma and eczema, it does not really paint the picture. Um, he was diagnosed with chronic eczema and asthma when he was like 3 or 4. I literally didn't even know what eczema was, had never heard of it. And then, of course, got a crash course in the worst possible eczema that anyone could ever have. So I literally tried everything with him from I mean, he was in the test group for prednisone and Protopic and all the things that are like the most popular drugs to control it now. He was in the test group for those. And they worked for a minute, but you can't take them long term. And he was like 5. So he kind of outgrew all those things. His body kind of got used to them. We did the homeopathic, we did acupuncture. I mean, it was horrible for him.
Mhm.
I literally removed everything from his diet. He was eating like flaxseed oil, and it was awful for both of us. I mean, he didn't want to eat. I was like, oh my God, he's going to die because he's not getting his nutrition. It was really horrible. And so, and not to mention the constant creams and stuff. I was like literally covering him with something 6 times a day just to keep him bare minimal moisture. It wasn't like overdoing it. So, I kept him in pretty good control until he was like maybe 12 and he became responsible for his own care of his body. And then it was like me constantly fighting him to do all the things I had been doing since he was, 4 years old. And it didn't work. It didn't last. And so he just kind of plummeted into like a really horrible cycle of putting lotion on in the morning, like everyone else, and thinking that he could come back at night and just take a shower and put more lotion on when none of those things worked for him. So fast forward now, he's what, 22. And I think it was over the summer or maybe like in April of this year when I finally was like, he has been a kid who has literally fought and screamed and kicked and cried and just begged and pleaded not to eat vegetables his whole life. So much so that my second son is pretty much a vegetarian because I was scared to ever let him try meat. Because I thought he's never going to eat anything but meat, just like my oldest son. And everyone's always harping on you about the nutritional value of veggies and obviously all the things that we know aren't really true anymore. But this summer, I convinced him after talking to talk to Ada and to do the carnivore thing. And so I went out, I bought all this beef and all this really great meat, pork, whatever. And I mean, he was in heaven. I mean, this is like the diet he's wanted his whole life, nothing but meat, no veggies, meat, meat, meat. And so it was great. And he noticed after like not even 3 or 4 days, he noticed a difference in his skin. He noticed a difference in his breathing, everything. Like he was just excited about like, oh my God, this is all I had to do was eat meat. You mean you forced me to eat vegetables? And all I had to do was eat meat. So it was good for like 2 weeks. And then I don't know if he got a job or what happened, but he was not cooking food like he was supposed to. And then I'd see like a bag of Doritos somewhere where he was kind of like cheating. And then even though he acknowledged that all of the carnivore eating made him feel better and he was breathing better and everything was great, he just couldn't maintain it. And I mean, he's 22, 21 at the time. So, there's only so much I can do to make him eat the way he's supposed to. So I constantly just hope that one day he wakes up and decides that this is more important to him than Takis and all the other crap that I see him eating. And
I
I
mean, I
mean
think
the
those are great. Those are great points, and I think Nilala, brings it up in her comment here. Cultural foods and the connection to fun and joy seem a lot to leave behind. It's not rational, I admit, but that's my downfall. Working on making peace with that. So,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure if I were 22, I'm not sure that I could be following this diet either. I mean, I remember how many
Mhm.
times we would like go to where was it? We used to go, I want to say like Denny's for those wings. Do you
Oh
remember that
no,
buffalo sauce they
no,
had?
yeah, that we used to drown our food in. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
I think it was a place called Coco's in LA. Wasn't
Mm,
that the place that had the like cinnamon roll French toast?
I don't remember that one.
Oh, it had like icing and all the syrup. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
God, so good.
But
But
it's
yeah.
just like, yeah, these were the things that we did, and we would go out and we'd party and
Mhm.
we'd go, eat those things. And this was just like part of hanging out with friends. And, fast food was ubiquitous. And, um,
Mhm.
so I don't know. I mean, I think if
Well,
I were 22, it would be really hard to be doing something that's so different from everybody else.
I don't know. It just seems like, I mean, it's not like you're going to not stand out. I mean, no one's going to notice if you're only eating meat versus only, like, if you have to tell someone I'm a vegetarian, I can't have this, that, and the other thing. I feel like it's easier to go this way than the other way, in terms of how you're eating. But I mean, I'm paying for all of it. I'm buying all of the really expensive food that he needs to eat. The least he could do is cook it, take it out of the freezer, let it thaw. I mean, it's not that serious. And a lot of stuff that I bought, I figured he could throw it in the crock pot. At the end of the day, he could come home and it'd be ready. No one's going to touch it. I mean, me and Jamel don't eat beef. So it's like, you have free reign, to do this the way that you should. And the fact that it worked, like I want to strangle him every time I see him asking me for, can you pick up my prescription? It's like, you could stop spending money on this if you would just do what 8A told you to. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
But I guess he just has to get to the point. I'm glad that he has friends in his life that accept him for who he is and the way that he is, but I just feel like he could be so much better. And I wish that health wise he would, you know, do it. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like if there was something like, stop eating sugar that could improve my health, make me feel better, give me a better chance of being healthy. I can't not do it. I have to at least try.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's the one that told me it worked, um, it makes me sad that he won't really commit to it. So
Yeah.
I mean, I would pay money. I would pay any amount of money, to see my son healthy and not have his skin look. I mean, he has so much scarring from eczema that there are parts of his body that look like he's been burned. I mean, it's like the most extreme eczema. Even doctors have like taken photos and wanted to write articles about how bad his skin has been. And so for him to have relief from that and not like jump all over I would never ever touch anything but meat if I were him, especially if I knew it was going to work, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but everyone has their own, cycle when they figure out what's going to work for them. I mean, obviously, it took me a couple months or all of my life to understand that I didn't need to have sugar. So hopefully, it won't take him until he's 52 to figure it out. But
So let's circle that conversation back. So, you say if you were him, you would eat only meat, knowing that it really improves and helps you.
mhm,
So let's
mhm.
circle back to the drinks. You know it helps you not to have sweet drinks, right?
I don't
So,
have it, but I miss it. I don't do it, but I
okay.
want to a lot. I like really, really like. Sometimes I'm like, okay, fine. I'm just gonna have a day. I'm going to, let's see, should I get the frozen lemonade from Popeyes or the frosted lemonade from Chick-fil-A? Which one should I cheat with and start over my whole sugar journey? And I don't, I mean, I always talk myself out of both of those things and I don't do it, but I'm annoyed because I am so freaking thirsty and water is just not cutting it. Um, Yeah, I don't know. I'm working on the water thing. I haven't actually broken the sugar-free thing, but it is a whole entire challenge. Every time I have a meal and I'm chugging it down with water, oh, it just is so dissatisfying.
I
I
do want
just
to
want
say on keto and especially on carnivore, you don't have to drink tons of water. I mean, you just drink as much as you need to not be thirsty anymore, and then you stop. So don't feel like you've got to chug gallons of water,
well, I don't know that I chug
or
gallons,
even
but I
one
just
gallon. I think 2 liters a day is more than adequate.
why is my okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
It's something I'm definitely working on, and I think I'm good right now. But I
Yeah.
there's times when I really like I'm not gonna make it. I tell Jamel all the time, I'm not gonna make it. Today's the day. Today's the day. Today's the day. I go get my lemonade and my sugar and whatever else I need, and I'll just be good again tomorrow and start over. But I just can't convince myself to break my streak. I think it's been like
Mhm.
what? I think I'm coming up on a month of being sugar free. And so I don't want to, yeah, that's
Awesome.
major.
Yeah.
Um, and so I don't want to mess up my month, and I definitely don't want to have to call and be like, "Oh, I had lemonade." Like that's just a stupid thing. If I'm gonna break it, I'm gonna break it like big. Like lemonade is not gonna cut it. So
So
giving up,
this is why you really need to go back for a booster shot from this
yeah,
woman, because
or
that's
10.
that's the attitude, that I have too, where I think, well, I'm not going to cheat on, or I'm not going to break my streak on just this. So
Something small.
so let me get all the things that I have been thinking about and just kind of get it all out of my system. But in that process, that can lead you down of weeks of eating off plan before you manage to get yourself back on, and potentially even months. Some people have gone on to gain, 30 pounds before they finally like get
Start
themselves
over.
right.
Yeah, and that's what I'm afraid of. And I just don't want to. I don't want to ruin my streak. I
But I'm saying that streak attitude is kind of what creates that explosion. Because the more perfect you are in one sense, the more you will explode in the opposite direction. So,
mm,
to pull the plug on that means going back for a booster shot and really reconnecting again with why you're doing this, and then being surrounded by people who are following the same path and who can
yeah,
support you.
there's nobody.
Because
There's nobody except for you who
well,
is
I
sugar
mean,
free.
there's the Facebook group, there's the
Oh yeah, all
chat.
that.
We're many hundreds of people strong, and we don't eat sugar, and we know why, because it causes these same problems, just like you're having, and we're all having. So there is community, and and that's why that's why I do this channel, and that's why I have the Facebook group and do the Instagram channel and everything, because we need to see other people that are having success this way of eating, and know that there are people who are not eating sugar and fruit and sweet stuff.
Yeah.
So, hmm um,
Yeah.
yeah. But I hope that, let's see, Pandemic Carnivore says steering from a carnivore diet will require a Michelin star chef in a faraway land. Not sure I get that, but okay.
So in
And
order for her to not do carnivore, it would have to be some amazing life-changing
oh,
event
I
to
see.
take her off her path, which is amazing.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I don't have that yet. Um, I, I don't know. I think it will take a lot. I don't think I will cave, but I just am angry about the fact that I'm not caving. Like I miss stuff.
Are you in ketosis now?
Yeah, I've been in ketosis for a long time now, and I've probably lost about 12 pounds, but I lost that 12 pounds probably in the first, I don't know, week or two. So I don't think I've really lost much weight in the last 2 weeks. If, like the scale kind of goes, up or down a pound or a couple ounces. And honestly, everything I've ever done, every time I step on my scale, I hear your voice telling me how my scale's a piece of crap and I need to get a new one. So, because I've had it, Yeah, you do. You every time I think I'm doing something right, like, okay, I'm not going to get on the scale for a week, and then I get on the scale and I tell you, oh, I lost 10 pounds. They're like, yeah, but your scale's old. You need
I
a new
I
scale.
understand
This
that.
is off. And oh, you don't remember telling me that my scale is lying to me and I need to get a new one because it was a crappy scale from the door. I'm like,
Well, I think it
I'm
was
counting those
one
10
of those
pounds.
that's not even digital. It's still got the arm that swings when you
No,
step
it's
on it.
digital. It's actually it is digital, but I've had it for a long time. And you
Okay.
were like, yeah, they, because of Weight Watchers and you guys used to calibrate them all the time. Like, I don't know how to calibrate this scale. And I keep saying I'm gonna get a new one, but I haven't. So even when I stand on there and it tells me I've lost 10 pounds, I'm like, is it really 10 pounds? I don't know. My scale's a piece of shit. So I don't know.
So I this is why I do encourage people to take measurements and check your clothes, because really it doesn't
And it's
matter
my
what
clothes.
the number is on the scale. You know, it's just everybody can see exactly how tight your pants are. So how your
Hmm.
clothes are fitting is really more important than what that number is on the scale. So
So yeah, so my fat clothes are swimming on me, which is awesome. And then some of the clothes I've actually just recently had my measurements taken for some clothes that I'm getting made. And so when I took my favorite pants, these are pants that I can only wear when I'm like a 12 or a 10. So when I put them on and I can get my finger in the waistband, that's like a very, very happy day. So these pants. There's like one suit that I know if I can fit that suit, everything's good. So I can fit that suit right now, and actually, it's a little bit loose. And so I start trying on other clothes that I haven't been able to wear in a really long time, and most of them I can get on, but they're still a little too snug for me to like go out in just yet. Maybe in a couple
yeah,
weeks I'll feel more comfortable wearing them out. But
yeah.
I can definitely tell in my clothes. So even when my scale is lying to me, I know that my clothes are telling me the truth. So
So what matters is the clothes, not the scale. So
for sure,
don't worry about all of that.
for
Excellent
sure.
though. Wow, I'm really excited. That's awesome. Clothes getting
Yeah.
looser. That's
Clothes getting
the
looser. That is the plan. That is the
yeah,
goal.
yeah.
And then, not feeling bad because I want to buy new clothes, but I refuse to buy fat clothes. So I just keep recycling the clothes that I can fit in my closet versus now I can actually go and feel comfortable about buying more because I know I'll be able to wear them for a long time because it's not like I'm going to start eating sugar again. So
Well,
can maintain
so
it longer.
I'm gonna push back against that attitude as well. So one, you have to be, one, you have
Shocker.
to pay attention to your self-talk. So,
Mm,
calling yourself fat isn't necessarily helpful,
okay.
or even truthful. So, I don't, you
Mm,
can talk about having excess weight, but fat is a judgment,
okay.
it's not even just a descriptive term anymore. And then also, we all deserve to look good in our clothes no matter what size we are. So if you
Hmm.
feel like your clothes are not fitting you, you should get new ones that fit, because you're worth it, and
Hmm.
you're worth it to walk around in clothes that fit. So, we're switching into winter and or the fall, and this is the time when people discover that their, fall jacket or winter coat doesn't fit anymore, and are intent on losing the weight instead of buying a new coat, and then end up walking through New York with unable to zip up their coat, or it's so tight they can't move,
Oh,
and
that's such a
or
fun feeling when you can't bend your arms or anything because your coat is so tight. That is like the worst.
right,
That is like the
right.
worst.
So I really, I push back against that. I just say, like, just get the right size clothes for, the moment, for this current moment, this current body, and you deserve it and you're worth it. So, so just do it. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you're getting bespoke suits. Like, there is
Hmm.
nothing more decadent and self-pampering than getting
Hmm.
clothes that are made for you.
Yeah, it's
S-
amazing.
yeah, yeah. And and you can always go back and have those things tailored as you lose or perhaps gain weight. Either way, doesn't matter. You can still do
Yeah.
that. And, that's okay.
Well, one thing that's really changed for me, the way that I see myself, the way that I see my body has certainly changed. And I think it's a combination of really accepting what I can do when I put my mind to it with regards to how I eat, but also other things that I've been doing in terms of just realizing, as a woman, what's expected of me on
Mhm.
this planet and what I'm capable of doing and all the things that I've been able to do that people said couldn't be done or I was too old for or whatever, and being successful in those things and just kind of understanding that it's my journey and what it looks like. I don't care. I'm happy. And if I'm not, I can change it and make it better. So this is just one of those things that I can change and make better that is completely 100% in my control. And honestly, a lot of the things I thought I was going to really, really miss, I really don't. I've never been a huge heavy drinker, but I like to drink. I mean, when I go on vacation, I like having the pina coladas and all of the fancy drinks with the umbrellas. But recently when I went on vacation, I just didn't want it. When I think about how much sugar is in the mixers for the pina coladas and all those things, it's like just not worth it. So not drinking, it has not even been an issue like I thought it would be in terms of the alcohol. I mean, I do miss flavor in terms of not just drinking water all the time, but in terms of just having an alcoholic drink, it's not. It's been a complete non-issue. So
Mhm.
I'm completely dumbfounded that it has been as easy, and I, air quotes easy as it has been, because I think once you kind of make the decision in your mind, everything else will just kind of fall into place. And
Mhm.
so it's it's not as easy to fall off if you have made the decision for yourself, and then just kind of stick to it.
Mhm.
So, but I mean, everyone doesn't get to have you in their ear. I definitely don't want to have to call you and tell you that I didn't make it through some stupid moment at a restaurant with, some work event. So I feel like I have to where, that extra accountability to where I don't want to have to tell you or anyone else that's cheering me on that I just kind of fell off. And so I like having that extra accountability, to say that, yeah, I made it through. I didn't cheat. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. All the things that I'm not supposed to be doing. So, and of course I have my kids here who are like on me all the time now. Like, every time I try to get something, if I even just take something out of the fridge to move it to get something, and are you supposed to be eating that? Are you supposed to be drinking that? Like, I'm literally holding it to get to what I need. Like, get away from me. I got this. I don't need you to do
Yeah,
that.
I do not
But
want that ever.
yeah,
Never.
no,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah.
But, I'm in charge, so I get to boss them around, and so stop doing that to me. But yeah, it's definitely easier having the accountability and just having the ability to pick up the phone and call and say, "Oh my God, I'm going to die. If I don't get something to drink, like right now, I'm going to pass out. I'm going to die." Of course, I'm not going to die. So, it's good. I like having my own personal family coach.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, when I call and you're on the phone with actual clients and talking to people, I'm like, oh my, how long is that session going to be really? Because I need to talk to you now.
Yeah.
So,
And I've
but yeah,
enjoyed
it's been
working
good.
with people, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, I'm gonna have to start collecting testimonials and stuff pretty soon, but it's pretty
Mhm.
amazing how impactful just increasing fat and increasing protein has been for many people, and going
Mhm.
carnivore. I mean, it really has, been stunning and like turned around people's lives. So
Mhm.
it's so hard to help people to understand how incredible they might feel. Especially when you feel pretty good. It's hard to imagine that you could feel 100 times better. But
So that's true. When I try to explain to people, like now, I'm like, you should do it. You should do it. You can do it. It's not that bad. You can do it. But it's hard to sometimes give that enthusiasm to someone else, because when you first came to me and where you were like, I'm giving up sugar, I'm like, are you insane? There's just no way in hell I'm ever going to be able to do that. And it's just another thing that you could do, another amazing thing, that no one else could do. So I'm like, whatever, sugar,
I
carnivore,
went
you're
and got
amazing.
help too. I mean, it
Yeah, I
wasn't
mean, I
easy
just
for
didn't
me.
understand that it was something that like a normal person like me could do, because you always do these really amazing things that no one else can do. So, when you mentioned it to me, I was like, of course you're giving up sugar. It's bad for you and you know better. But That, I could never. And I really, I sometimes stand in disbelief that I'm actually doing it. Um, it's, it's, it's surreal, really.
Yeah.
And I do feel the difference. I don't think I felt it right away. I think what I felt initially was just kind of like the rush of being in control for what felt like the first time in my life about what I was eating.
Hmm.
Because I've avoided foods and forced myself to eat things like, all of those stupid diets, like the bean soup diet and the, onion lemonade and garlic lemonade diet. Like I forced myself to drink things that I didn't want, and then avoided things that
Oh
I
wait,
did
remember
want,
when we did the master cleanse too? That was that
which when
lemonade
we
with
cook
the maple syrup and the cinnamon, or no, the cayenne pepper.
the cayenne pepper.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of endured a lot of these things to try and make my life better. And I don't feel like I'm enduring anything now. Like it just feels like this is how it's supposed to be. And the fact that I can still eat all the things that really matter, like, chicken and fish and healthy things.
Mhm.
It just changes everything. But trying to convey that to other people who are basically where I was a month and a half ago, um, it's impossible. So I just hope that, just continuing to do it will encourage other people to believe. Anyone that's been close to me understands that this is something that anyone can do. Like, seriously, I used to have candy hidden like in drawers and places that you would never imagine candy would ever survive. And I would eat candy, like, how sometimes you open chocolate and it's melted and it's gotten hard again and then it's all discolored. Whatever. I still eat those. I used to still eat those. So, I had a real problem that I didn't even acknowledge was a problem the way that I
And
should
what did
have.
you say about your dad that you
Oh,
thought that your whole family were all addicted,
yeah.
or at least on your
No,
dad's
because let
side?
me just say, not growing up with my dad, I didn't see how he used to eat. Growing up with my mom and my brother, I just kind of got used to the way that we used to eat, which was, I mean, I remember when I came back home to visit my mom after moving to LA after college and all that. I came home and my mom poured a bowl of frosted flakes and then she took like a scooper of sugar and sprinkled it on top like it was cornflakes. I'm like, "Oh my god, mom, that is so much sugar." And she's just like, "Mind your business." And I was just like, I mean, why? I mean, I love frosted flakes. I love sugar, but like when you get to the bottom of the bowl and you're literally scooping up sugar into the spoon with the milk, and I'm like, how are you not dead? Like that is insane. And then obviously my mom passed away. It's been 23 years this year, I think. And I was at my dad's like 2 months ago, and he literally was putting sugar on frickin' frosted flakes. It was like the most horrifying flashback ever. And I'm like, I inherited this. This is a whole entire problem.
Yeah.
And thank God, my kids don't really have the sugar thing. We were talking about the funnel cake this summer. Man, that funnel cake commercial got me every single time.
So I
Um,
just to let you all know, Faith is committed to buying from Black-owned businesses, and so has for the last several months been actively looking for Black-owned businesses to support, and somehow came across
somehow.
a store, a Black-owned business that sells funnel cake. Wait, what is it? Funnel cake that is made into donuts or
Okay,
croissants
so
or
so they have just come up with all of these really creative things to do with funnel cake dough. So they make, normal funnel cake, but they also do just insane things with this dough. And one of the things that they did was they took, those mini croissants that you get at the market for like, I guess like a croissant equivalent of like a slider. And so they used to take these croissants, dip them in the funnel cake batter, and then fry them, and then cover them in this like honey, vanilla glaze and butter. Oh my God. I mean, every time I used to see this commercial, I literally would feel like my mouth just like salivating. Like I wanted it so bad. So when I did the map quest to get there, it was in South Carolina, which, you know, 20 minutes you can be at the border, but this place was into South Carolina. So it was like a 40-minute drive. And every week, and they're only open on the weekends, thank God. So every weekend I'd be like, let's go get funnel cake. And my kids are like, oh, it's too far. No, thank you. So for weeks, every weekend I'd be begging them to go. And they'd be like, oh my God, Mom, no, we're not going. We don't want it. We don't want funnel cake. It's fine. We don't want to go. And then one Saturday I was like, I'm not waiting for you. I'm going to get funnel cake. You guys wait here. I'm not bringing any back either. You get none. And so, of course, we all pile in the car to go get funnel cake because they didn't want to miss out. So we get there, and I was just like, God, let it just be like $10 each because I'm not going to spend all this money on it. At least I'll just get one. What was like two or three for $5? Two or three croissants for $5? I'm not even going to tell you how much money I spent. It was a lot. And I took, this is when you know you have a problem. I took Tupperware containers so that I could get extra for later. So I ate like two standing there, and then I brought like 4 or 5 home. And by the end of the night, all of them were gone. Horrible.
So,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah,
See,
I had a problem.
that's bad. But we
Bad.
do like to talk about here, and I will remind everybody that sugar is not just the stuff in the Domino box, but it is sugar
Bread.
is the same whether it's alcohol, beer, bread, 2 pounds of cherries or a bag of M&Ms. It's all of those forms are sugar. So it is
So
important,
sad.
even if you think of yourself as a savory person that doesn't like sweet stuff, that doesn't mean that you're not addicted to the sweet stuff. It's just the stuff that you take doesn't taste overtly sweet, like with sucralose,
Bread.
so
Hmm.
sucrose. Um, yeah, so before I know we probably triggered a whole bunch of people to go now look for this funnel cake place. So don't do that. I haven't had it. I'm
Well,
not
it's
gonna
far
have it.
away, and
Nobody's gonna
I don't.
have
I
it.
think it's a seasonal thing. I think it's over. So no, there's no more.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm glad that you are moving beyond it. You're still in the early
Hmm.
days, so there's a lot that's still going to be happening, and you'll continue to improve and to grow, and I have the highest of hopes. For the
Me
rest of
too.
our family, I don't know, and I think part of the problem too
Hmm.
is, at least on my father's side of the family, there isn't really obesity. Like, I don't think, maybe only one aunt was significantly overweight, and
Who's that?
oh my God, what is her name?
Janice?
Yes, Aunt Janice.
Yeah,
Wasn't
yeah.
she
I mean,
overweight?
she was heavier, but she wasn't like, you know, unable to move around.
Yeah. So, but for the most part, on on our Fox side, there isn't really that level of, there's not that weight
Hmm.
issue. And I think that, weight is the one thing that people use as their measure of health and as an
Hmm.
indication that there's any kind of problem. So I do really think it's important to like try to, move away from that and actually think more broadly, which is why here we talk about taking your blood glucose measurements, your ketone measurements to, really see how your health is coming and if your metabolic health is very good. And I see, and Nilala asked about getting a glucose ketone monitor to gauge progress. I think that is a great idea. It really is helpful to know whether you're in ketosis or not. A lot of times, especially if we're not
So,
being very careful, we could be eating things that kind of knock us out of ketosis, and I think it's important to look, just see.
but
You
how?
don't have to
So this is
guess.
a question for me because sometimes when I do the strip thingy
Hmm.
for the ketones, I'm like, why is this not super dark? Like I haven't cheated, I haven't eaten anything crazy, but it's still not as dark as I feel like it should be. I'm not like way off the charts with the ketones, and I'm like, what else could I possibly do
Hmm.
to be, I guess, in a stronger place of ketosis? And so I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's just not right. It's off because I haven't done anything that would kick me out of ketosis, even on a really small scale.
Well, so I think a couple of things are going on. One, the urine sticks are a very, very, very crude measurement. So you're not
The
going to be
what?
able, the urine strips that are testing
Okay.
for ketone byproducts in your urine.
Hmm.
They are a very crude measurement tool, and you're not going to be able to, have any kind of precision there. I do recommend that you do your blood ketones. You can test them that way. I actually, if you look in the description of this video, there's a link to ForaCare. They're a company that makes, these things. And if you if you use my code, the Black Carnivore, you'll get 10% off. So just follow the link in the description. But
Okay.
I would suggest that you get that, and that'll really give you a better measurement of what's going on. And also, something that can happen is, I actually think, Faith, that you don't eat enough, and
Yeah,
that's
you've told me
something.
that before.
Yeah. And I think that that can cause a problem. I mean, I think now people are becoming more and more familiar with the concept of like starvation diet, where, which is a real thing, but it, is not something that happens once you're fat adapted, but when you're not fat adapted, it can happen. And so when you're living off of sugar and you don't have, you're not eating enough, your body's not able to burn your own body fat for energy. It's only able to rely on the things that you eat. If you start to diet and to cut calories, it can't get fuel from your body, and it's not getting enough from what you're eating. And so that is what's going to cause this starvation mode, where your body's going to start to shut down its core activities so that it's not burning as many calories, right?
For
So
sure.
so when you go all in on fasting, especially in the early days of going keto, before you've really gotten fat adapted, you're still in that situation where you're not eating enough sugar. You can't access your body fat all that well, and so you're just still not getting enough. And we do need to eat, and I think that, so for women especially, we're sort of been ingrained to eat less and less and less, and like the ideal is nothing, and anything above nothing is a
Hmm.
failure. But, really should be, we should be thinking about it in a complete opposite way. Eating is a requirement, maybe 2,000, maybe even 3,000 calories, depending on what you do, and who you are. So, it is important to make time to eat, and to eat, substantive food, not food that's
Hmm.
meant to mimic eating, but like actual food.
Actual food.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely is a challenge because even like today, I was running around. I had a lot going on today.
Mhm.
I, of course, drank my water. But when it was time to eat, it was like, I don't know, 6:30, and I was like, I got to put makeup on. I got to figure out all this stuff for Skype, and I'm like woofing down, chicken breast with some lettuce and tomato, and it's not definitely not enough for the whole day, but it's getting late. I'm probably not going to eat again tonight. So this will be one of those days where I should have just not eaten and fasted and waited until tomorrow.
No,
Instead
no,
of eating
no.
just
No, no. You should
what?
actually just eat. Eat. You should have
Well, yeah,
eaten
but it's
three
well,
meals.
I should have eaten a long time ago, yes. But when I don't eat, and it's like I might as well just I feel like I might as well just wait now until tomorrow. But I didn't wait because I was hungry. And since I started sugar free, I get hungrier a lot earlier now. So I get hungry. Definitely I get hungry by 10:30, 11. I've been up since 5:36. I get hungry around 10:30, 11. But I don't move. I don't go get food because I'm too busy at work. So I wait. I wait and I wait and I wait. And then by the time I eat, I may eat a lot of all the right stuff, but I'll eat it and then 20 minutes later, an hour later, I'm hungry again. So
So
I
it's
just got
not
to
the
figure
right
that out.
stuff. It's not the right stuff if you can't go more than 2 hours without being hungry again. It's
Well,
not the
I don't
right stuff.
know.
I
I
mean,
don't know.
it's just not. So you should be able to go like 5 hours without feeling like you got to eat again.
You're still
So
hungry?
if you
Huh.
aren't, you've got to eat something else. But there's also the issue of meal prep. You have to, I don't know. I mean, I get that we're all very busy, but
Hmm.
you have to make time for things that happen. You have to pee in a day, so you go. You have to make time to do that.
That's true.
So,
But
Um,
honestly, I even pushed that to the last limits. I mean, seriously, there have been some times when I really
I
like,
understand. I've heard,
I,
but
so it's,
that's
I guess it's just one of my character flaws. I push everything to the absolute mm, last second,
yeah.
with food and everything else. I mean,
So I'm
I don't
saying
know, something I got to work on.
if you're talking about, reframing and re looking again at the way that you approach your life, I think that making self-nourishment like a top priority is important.
Hmm. For
Um,
sure.
the pandemic carnivore says, "Is faith on a calorie deficit diet?" Um,
Uh,
and I see that was a typo. And she
I
says,
don't know if
"Oh
that
my
was a
Lord."
typo or not.
I mean, it sounds like you are
Oh.
trying to not take any time for any of your personal needs. So I would encourage you not to
Hmm.
do that. Go to the bathroom. Just go. But make time for food. And even if that means, like I like freshly cooked meat every day, but that's not realistic. I can't do that.
Hmm.
Right now I have a brisket in the oven and it is going to be ready, oh God, in 2 more hours. But yeah, but
Hold on.
it's
Actually, give me 1 second.
okay.
I mean, I can still hear you. We can still talk, but I'm just stepping out of frame for a second.
Okay. So
Sorry. My phone's
anyway,
about to die and I need to plug it in.
yes. Okay. So
Okay.
just make time. So, and I would say, for a little while, just try to do 3 meals a day. And, you might find, I don't know, maybe you're just like super starving. And that's why eating one meal isn't enough for you and you still feel, really hungry. So, that would be my recommendation. Oh dear, what has happened here? Come on, Faith. Where have you gone? Uh, well, I will speak to all of the rest of you. I think that meal prep is it's really important, and it's just one of the best things that you can do for yourself. And things are hard enough as it is to make sure that you're able to stay on your program, that you're resisting the sugar, that you're resisting all of those things. And, and then if you also don't have food available, it's like, you're just like shooting yourself in the foot. Um, it's just too difficult. Let's see. I think Faith is having a difficult connection. So, so if anybody in the chat has any questions, I know we have gone long and we haven't taken many questions, but, definitely speak up if you have any questions. Um, yeah. So, and Virginia, it was saying that I was telling her last night just to make time to cook and make time to eat. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, eating is like a fundamental activity, and it gives you energy. And now you can see my dog behind me has decided now is a great time to play with the ball and jump up and down and have a good time. And pandemic carnivore says meal prep is so easy when on carnivore. I agree. Cooking up one brisket and just eating off of that for a while is super, super awesome and really easy and tasty. Let's see. So everybody who's here, can you please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so you can get notification every time I go live. Faith hopefully will be back. I'm not sure what's happening on her end, but we'll continue on our own for a bit. I see Nilala asked, is it harder to talk to people about eating this way when they're not obese or experiencing significant health problems. I definitely find it to be harder because I think that when people don't have that weight problem or some other health problem, like they just don't have any reason to think about what they're eating and whether it's a good idea that they are eating the way that they are. So that's why I would say it's difficult. The only difference I would find is that people now after years have started to see the health benefits that I've achieved, and so more interested are more interested in what I'm doing.
Sorry.
Okay, here we are. Faith is back. Yes.
I'm so sorry. I kept getting the notices, but we were talking, and then I was like, okay, I got to get up and plug it in. And sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Um, and let's see. So Romeo says I meal prep for the week every Sunday. Yeah, I used to do that. It's a little hard for me to be so regimented about which day I do it now because I work from home, and so there's not as much reason for me to to like make sure that it's all happening on Sunday. But yeah, I do, I try to do it at some point. Um, okay, and then let's see. The pandemic carnivore says cheap junk good a day.
Cheap what?
Yeah, I don't know. Cheap junk good a day. Yes, junk is cheap, good is a day, or a day is
It
good.
is
I
good.
don't know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, Romeo does Sunday mornings for meal prep. Yeah, that can be good, definitely. So
Yeah.
yeah, but
Meal
making
prep
sure
doesn't,
that
I
you
don't
have
know.
the stuff in the house is really important because, of course, it's going to be harder to cook if it's not there.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Meal prep, when I think about meal prep, I think about basically the stuff that goes with whatever you're cooking. And so when I take, meal prep now is just making sure I have all the ingredients to make whatever meat I'm going to eat. And so the biggest challenge is basically becomes remembering to take it out of the freezer before I go to work. And then realizing halfway through the day that I didn't take it out of the freezer before I left, either have to figure out some place I can eat on the way home that's not going to destroy everything, or not eating. So I definitely have to do better with that.
Yeah, and maybe put a post-it note on the door leading out to the garage saying, "Did you take meat out?"
Yeah,
You could
something.
tape a big note there. Um, you've got a fan. Leon Benjamin says, "Faith is very pretty." Sorry, I had to say
Oh,
it.
thanks.
Yes, I agree.
So that's
Yeah,
always nice to hear. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. So, okay. And let's see, were there any other questions? A lot of people have, appreciated your candor and the challenges that you're facing, and I think that's great.
Hmm.
I mean, I think, we kind of get the impression from some people that, they started eating this way, and then everything was resolved instantly, and everything was all perfect. And,
Oh, those people make me
that's,
sick.
mhm, it's obviously not the case.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
In fact, last summer, when I think about when I first started keto, I was that person who would go to the beach with my own food. I wasn't eating anything that they were serving at the pool, and things like that. But as the summer went on, I had some cheat days here and there. I went to New Orleans with a girlfriend for a wedding, no, a graduation. And of course, we did all of the, trendy touristy things. And one of the things that she really wanted to do was go to that beignet place. And I've been to New Orleans like 3,000 times and never heard about this awesome beignet place. But now everyone in the world is talking about the beignet place, and now I can't have any. So while we were sitting there and I was watching her eat three gigantically, wonderfully covered beignets, those little
Uh-oh,
fake root beer
I
floats I
think
used to make with the
your connection isn't so great. But keep
oh,
going.
okay, I don't know what I did.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like when I think about the times that I decided to go on keto when I keep finding new things that I would have loved to have had, that I can't have anymore. But, I think
Don't want to
just
have, don't care to
want,
have, don't need
yeah,
to have,
and don't need it
don't
anymore,
desire.
don't desire. I definitely need to work on my language
Yes.
and how to speak these things into existence for myself. But, just getting used to try. I got,
Yeah,
really good
you
at
got a
traveling with
thumbs
it.
up for that immediately. Yes.
Yeah.
Change your
Yeah.
language.
I do. I need to change my language, not just with keto and food, like across the board.
Yep.
So that's something I'm definitely working on.
And Friday
But
is a new moon. Great time to set new intentions. So maybe that should be your intention for the coming month.
I will
That
add that to my
everything,
list.
that every single thing that you say, um, man,
It's
it
positive.
is, well, not just positive, but it reflects what you want to manifest. So if you
Hmm.
knew that every single thing that you said would manifest, you wouldn't talk about
Oh,
like, you wouldn't
definitely.
use metaphors. You would not talk about, the gremlin in, I don't know, the gremlin that's making your car not work. Like you wouldn't talk about these things because they
Hmm.
manifest. So I would think about that
Hmm.
and make that, and for everybody who is here in the chat or watching the video, like just think about what it is you want to manifest and make sure that your language is supporting that goal, all of
For
it.
sure. For sure. I absolutely will be doing that. For sure.
I'm writing it down for myself because that was really profound, and I want to make sure on Friday that I make that pledge to myself for the coming month.
Well, one thing that is journaling. So I used to journal all the time when I was younger. And I think after I had Tucker, my oldest, I stopped journaling because I felt like a lot of what I was writing was very negative, about how I was feeling about, my mom passed while I was pregnant. And so I didn't have a whole lot of positive things to write about. And I would just literally sit there crying and writing. And I thought, I don't want my kids to find this, or especially not Tucker, to find this really horrifying description of what being a mother has been like without my own mother. So I stopped journaling and I didn't really go back to it until like maybe a week ago. So 20 some years I haven't journaled. Um, so, it's good. I like it. I miss it. And I write. I've written tons of other things. I write all the time, but it's different when you're writing about your personal journey. I can never journal without crying. Doesn't matter if I'm writing a happy moment, a sad moment, a retrospective moment, the tears are just flowing. And sometimes I just feel like I can't handle all that right now, so I just don't journal. So I've really made a commitment to journal no matter what emotions come out and just kind of deal with them and, let them flow or whatever they're going to do. I seem to be, I mean, I think I've always been an emotional person, but for some reason I'm like super emotional now. So I just kind of have to sit there and let it happen.
Well, that's partly because you've taken away your drug of choice. So without that
So I'm
drug,
crying.
well, I mean, you don't have anything with which to numb those feelings.
That's
So
true.
they come out, and that's okay.
Yeah.
They should. And and it won't always be tears and all of that. Sometimes it'll be, laughter and fun things. But
Hmm.
you will be excited to see the range of emotion that you have. I do think that when we're, especially when we're, deep in the sugary food and deep in using food as an emotional, support, what ends up happening is that there's no range of emotion. You're either, jonesing for, your fix, or you're high off of your fix, or you're preparing for your next, fix. But there's no range of, rage to joy and to all of the things in between. So,
Hmm.
it'll seem a little overwhelming in the beginning, maybe.
Well, I thought for sure if I was ever in a place where I'd be able to stop eating sugar, that I would be just like hell on wheels and no one would want to ever be around me. that everyone would like die a slow, painful death if they betrayed me in any way. So I'm surprised and pleasantly surprised that I am not snapping at everybody around me and
Mhm.
don't feel like I want to strangle people. I think my patience sometimes is a little bit thin, but I don't know if that's attributed to sugar or just the state of the world today. So it's hard to say. But
Yeah.
I definitely like all of the changes, all of the things that have happened as since I've given up sugar have all been positive.
Yeah.
Every single part of it. I mean, just getting through the first day and then the second day and then the third day. And then it's like, oh, it's been 6 days now. Like I didn't count the fourth day for the fifth day, you know? So it's not so much as day to day as it used to be trying to get through. It just, it's just not the same. I feel definitely like this is it. Like I'm not going to go back. So it's definitely a good feeling. And I definitely wouldn't have been able to do any of this
Mhm.
without you, for sure, 100%. There's literally no one else in my life that even talks about these things, much less implements them in their life. So,
Yeah.
one more thing I can give you credit for.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And I think in time,
Yeah.
people will just, stop looking at me like I'm crazy. My dad has stopped, getting on me about being carnivore. He's
Hmm.
never going to be pro, but he is a vegetarian and a lifelong one. Um,
Yeah,
and
but what about the whole orange carrot thing? I mean, that should be a deterrent for anybody.
yeah, he
um,
ate a lot of oranges, so much so, well, he said for a time he was starting to turn kind of orange, which is can happen when you have that much beta carotene. But I think, I mean, like most vegetarians, like the diet is almost exclusively sugar. So,
mhm.
whether you're talking about brown rice or dates or honey or potatoes. So there you go. But he stopped hassling me, or well, I'm sure in his head he's still, but out loud he has stopped for the moment.
Well, because I mean, you put up a good argument when people come at you and say it's wrong or crazy or whatever. A lot of the things that you say start to make sense to them. I mean, I've been not with you about this kind of thing, but just in other situations in my life where, you're arguing with someone and you're making your point, and then somewhere in the argument you realize that the other person is right. It's like, oh God. So I think it's hard to admit in the middle of the argument that the person
Yeah.
who's been on your neck for 45 minutes telling you that you're wrong is actually right. So that's a hard place to be in, especially I think as a parent. I've had conversations with Jamel where I've been arguing him down about something, and then I realize, oh my God, this kid is freaking right. I hate it. And then I just kind of back out of the conversation. I don't know that I just, maybe later I might tell him, I was thinking about what you said, but like in the middle of the argument, never.
Yeah.
I think that's just a parenting thing where we just cannot really just let our kids win like that. It's just, it's a no no.
Well, I
So,
mean, it's not for me to define how you engage in argument and stuff, but that's a common tactic that I see when talking to people. I mean, I've certainly been accused of being dogmatic and choosing to eat this way for dogma reasons rather than anything else. And I say, and
mhm,
I push back on that very hard. I mean, the reason that I eat this way is that feel so much better, and it has made a huge difference in my health. So,
mhm,
so I think, but when arguing with the, opposing team, which would be vegans, I don't like to do that. I am not looking to get into arguments with vegans, but certainly some do come at me. And so I have to engage in discussion, and I, try to keep it thoughtful and kind and
and respectful. Yeah.
and respectful, right? But I
Hmm.
don't always get that back from them. But very often the arguments will shift and slither around so that they're constantly moving to a new topic. So, if it starts with it's bad for the environment, and then I counter with, well, I know it's not, and there's a lot of different science about that, then it shifts to it's not good for your health and it'll clog your arteries. And then when I argue that, it shifts to, you have to have respect for or respect for life. And, and then it's like, well, you don't have respect for plant life. You're eating those live. Like that, you know, that seems bad too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I
Well,
find that
I
that
have similar.
happens.
I think those. Yeah, those. I think those arguments just go with anything that you're doing that's different than everyone else.
Hmm.
Um, because I still have arguments with people about my car. And how I'm a problem. My car is a part of the problem of global warming and the carbon footprint and all that kind of stuff. So, you
And
know,
you drive a
it's
Tesla. I mean, like, how much
well,
further?
I mean, apparently, electricity is coal, and coal is from this and all of this other crap. Like, oh my God, shut up! This is better for the planet than gas. It just is, and there's enough science out there for me to know that I don't need to know all the details and specs of it. I can admit that I did not get my car because I wanted to have this amazing um, uh, carbon footprint that's so tiny. I love the car. I think it's sexy. I deserved it. So I bought it. And it just happened to be electric once I did my investigating. I am one of the probably the few Tesla owners that did not have a clue. So I can't take credit for
I
being this
thought you
huge
got it.
environmentalist.
I thought you got it because it was
No,
electric. I
I
was
didn't
like,
even know
oh,
what.
look at my
No,
cousin who's like all into the environment.
Mm,
Nice.
no.
Nice.
Well, that's an added bonus. I actually fell in love with the car in the carpool at Jamel's school. I just love the car. I was driving minivans for, I don't know, 20 years. And I was just like, I want that car. And then I couldn't get close enough to see what kind of car it was. Took about a week in carpool of me stalking this poor guy in the carpool lane to find out what kind of car he was driving. And then when I found out and I Googled it, I was like, whoa, of course I like the most expensive million friggin' dollar car that no one owns. I'm never going to be able to get this car. And then, years later, I was able to get the car. So I did not know it was an electric vehicle until I went to investigate. So there goes all my credibility as being this huge environmentalist who cares about the environment. I mean, I do, but it's just by chance that I
Well,
happen to have this
even
car.
even if by chance you're doing your part, good job.
Yes, I'm doing my part. And now I do kind of go out of my way to make sure that I do other things that are positive. But it doesn't matter. My point is, there are tons of people who give me grief about my electric car and complain about how I'm sucking all the electricity and electricity comes from coal and coal this and all of this other stuff. And it's like, oh my God, you know how much money I save on gas? How about that? Let's talk about that.
Or let's
But
talk
yeah,
about how much it costs to fly your goji berries from wherever they come from, which is not New York City. And that's fossil fuel too. I mean, so
just everything. I mean, I just think that if you're not doing what everyone else is doing, then something is clearly wrong with you. Um, you know, I don't know. You make sacrifices for what you want.
yeah.
There's times when I can't get on the road and plan a 500-mile trip without figuring out where I'm going to charge my car. This to me is not a big deal. But God, if I ask someone to go with me on that same trip, oh, are we going to have to stop and charge? Yeah, just like we'd have to stop and get gas. Oh, but you can get gas anywhere. You know what you can do? Drive yourself. So,
Well, and we could be able to get a charge anywhere if, well, if we had a federal government that
that
supported
that cared.
that
Yes.
infrastructure, and we would just put it
Yes.
in. Because before there were
Gas
gas
station.
stations, like
Mhm.
your car went as far as you could go without, getting more gas. I mean, it's a matter of
Right.
the infrastructure. But
Yeah.
anyway, to get back on the sugar, on the cane talk, you we were talking about family and getting oh,
Tucker.
Neilala really likes you. She says, Faith, you're my best friend in my head. As the kids say, I feel you. You've got your twin out here. Um, but
Well,
in
thanks.
terms, yeah. But to get back to getting family on board, we're going to keep working on your son. The rest of our family members, all we can do is really shine and hope that they come back to us looking for more help. Um, we do have some family members who are very sick, and I just still struggle about how whether to speak up and how to offer any information that would be helpful or not.
Well, I think that in this particular group of the family, you're not going to be able to get through to them by yourself. So, I mean, I don't mind everyone being mad at me. I don't care. So, I definitely can throw it out there that you guys need to pay attention to 8A. If you don't want to die. I know it seems extreme, but some people I think are really pushing it health wise in the family and just in general, where they're just basically skating by and doing what little they can and thinking that using sugar free stuff is healthy versus the fact that it's pretty much just the same.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think all we can do really is try and lead by example, which you certainly have done in spades. People lose weight all the time, but to lose 80 plus pounds, keep it off, look amazing. And people, even people in the family don't even remember you needing to lose 80 pounds. That's how long and how quickly and easy you made it seem. And I know it wasn't easy, but just thinking about all the things, all of the different stages that you went through, and then I kind of tried to do the same thing to make it work. I mean, everything doesn't work for everybody. Even I was thinking about the other day that whole Gwenny B thing. Remember that
Yes.
subscription? So,
Yes.
you know, I thought, oh my God, you look amazing. That's the best outfit. And then like I get it, and it was like, yeah, this does not work for you. You should never put that on again. So I think it just really depends across the board what works for everybody.
Yeah.
And having them see, I mean, there's no one that's close to me that could see what I'm doing right now by not having sugar and think that it's not real. Like that it can't be done. It can't be done. I mean, like literally, I have done everything except literally shoot it into my veins. So drinking it. You remember those little wax candies that had that liquid like water sugar? You bite the tip of the wax off and drink it. Do you remember that candy? I forget what it was called, but it was like, old 70s candy with the little colored water in the tubes of wax and then the buttons on the paper, like where you take a piece of candy off and then there's like this little piece of paper on the back. I used to just like, you know,
Yeah.
eating
I
those
remember
and
those.
I mean, that is like the worst. I used to eat those in spades,
Yeah.
like it was nothing. Even it got to the point where I wouldn't even worry about the paper on the back. I just ate the paper too. So, when I think about all of the ways that I kind of abused myself with sugar, I'm really glad that my kids didn't inherit that from me because apparently I absolutely inherited it. Sugar on frosted flakes like a scoop. And I think even this summer, remember my dad had me looking for that Nestea iced tea, which I had to get on Amazon because they don't even sell it in the stores anymore. So I had to buy like 6 of them. And
Yeah.
I gave him one. I didn't tell him I bought six. I gave him one. And within like 10 days, he was out. This whole big powdered keg of Nestea iced tea, which he was adding to Tang. I mean, it was just like, what are you doing? Even Jamel was like, is Pop Pop going to die? Can he drink that? Isn't he kind of old to be drinking that? I'm like, yeah, he is. I'm not going to give him any more. And then he called me like, hey, where did you get that? Can you get me another bottle? And I'm like, yeah, they don't, they discontinued that. They don't sell that anymore. So that was it. And I've got like five more, here. But I can't give it to
It's
him
so
anymore. I mean, he eats it. Like, no, it can't happen anymore. At least not by me, through me. I can't be the one that facilitates
yeah.
the crazy with regards to eating that kind of stuff. Like, I just can't do it anymore. So yeah, I have
Yeah.
like $40 worth of Nestea powdered iced tea mix under my sink in my bathroom.
Oh.
So God forbid he ever, I don't want him to come over and see it in my pantry. So I had to bring it upstairs. So yeah, but I mean, I remember when I was young, my mom used to bake a lot, and obviously we used a lot of sugar all the time. And I can't even remember how many times I got screamed at because she would go to grab the sugar out of the cabinet and the bag would be basically empty because any given day, I would literally go and take a scoop and just pour it into my mouth and then go back outside.
Uh,
And so I would end up eating like nearly a 5-pound bag of sugar. I don't know how long it took me, but I know when my mom picked up that bag to make something and it was empty, I was in a whole shitload of trouble for eating all the sugar. So I've had a sugar problem a long, long time. And I
yeah,
used to think, well, I don't drink soda, so I'm good.
yeah. Well,
Soda has nothing to drink some soda.
it has been fun reminiscing about all of our sugar
The horror.
escapades or sugar spades.
Hmm.
No, there's got to be a better word for
Yeah.
them. But
Yeah.
yeah. So but it's been a terrible, terrible burden for me and for you, and I know
Hmm.
for everybody who's struggling with it. It really is a challenge. And sometimes it is better to just go ahead and you know take the take the plunge and get assistance from an outside person, because this is
Yeah.
not just about like willpower and just getting over it. Sugar addiction is
It's
real,
real.
and
Hmm.
you probably would seek help if you were looking to kick heroin. I
Hmm.
suggest that you look for help to kick sugar, and it's especially hard because there's nowhere in society that you can go and it's not there. So you
It's way
can't.
worse. It's way
Yeah,
worse, I think,
you.
than, I mean, obviously, you can't, thank God, you can't really die from a sugar overdose, at least not in one, sitting like you can with heroin or cocaine or something. But at the same time, when you kick cocaine, you can avoid your friends who still do drugs. You can avoid the dealer who used to keep you in full supply. It's hard, it's impossible to do that with sugar. It's literally everywhere. So I just, there's no way I would have been able to do this on my own. It's just no way.
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm glad that you went and got help, and I encourage everybody who's watching, if you are interested in, pursuing the efforts that Faith and I took, send me an email. I'm at, well, my email is in the about section on my channel, but just go ahead and send me an email, and I'll chat with you more about it. And I'm going to try to get the person to come on and do an interview on
Hmm.
on the live stream, because I think she had really, really fantastic information that was super, super
For
helpful
sure.
and important,
Hmm.
very important.
Hmm.
So, all right, so we have been on here for 2 hours, and I really appreciate all of you who have hung in here until the end. You have been amazing. Please hit the like button, the subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so you can get notification. And we are going to, well, I'll be back on Thursday. Not sure exactly what the setup is going to be. I'll figure it out, but we're definitely going to continue the conversation. I had a great time tonight, and thank
Yay.
you. Yeah, and everyone really loved you, Faith.
Hmm.
You have definitely have a lot of fans here, so I really
Oh,
appreciate
thanks.
that. Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited I get to be on your channel. This is such a big deal. So thank you for having me. Finally, I have something that I can contribute to the carnivore world.
Well, we'll
So
keep
it's been
working
fun.
on your son, and I would love to hear, his side of the story as well about the whole experience. So if he can come on my
Yeah.
podcast in a couple months, if he can get himself back on, that would be great.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I'm happy to throw that into the other things I threaten his life about to get him to come on the show. So hopefully we can get him to come on,
Hmm. All
or
right.
not just come on, but to actually do it, and be serious about it. Because I am always harping on him about the fact that he's an adult, and I'm not going to support you for the rest of your life. It's time to move out. It's time to do all these adult things. But the one thing that I will do, that I've told him, is I will certainly continue to buy all the food you need because it can be pricey, and I want you to be healthy. And I also will pay for family vacations. But that's it.
All
That's it.
right. All right. Awesome. All right, everybody. So we're gonna say good
Yeah.
night. Good night, and I look
Bye.
forward to seeing you all soon. All right. Bye.